Today on the Morning Edition, a car rammed into the Wasilla Police Station, and police say the man inside attempted to use bear spray and assault officers inside. We'll show you the footage and tell you how it went down. Plus, it is National Bike to Work Day, and Anchorage is celebrating in full force. So get that bike out, dust off the seat, avoid the high prices at the gas pump, at least for one day, and celebrate with the city as you bike into the workplace today. And later, one rancher is bringing his late wife's dreams to fruition by hosting a concert of one of her favorite artists on their ranch. We'll show you how it came together and when it's going down as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Friday morning, everyone. We made it to the work week, and yeah, it's Bike to Work Day. Aaron, what's the weather going to look like for those wanting to bike to work?
Well, much like we've been holding on to for a good portion of this week, dry conditions. In fact, we could see some sunshine later today. Of course, we're starting off with some cloudy conditions for parts of South Central. If you live out towards the Kenai, though, particularly from Kenai out towards El Soldotna, you are holding on to some sunnier skies this morning. 42 degrees in Juneau, 46 degrees in Fairbanks. You can see many areas of the state, though, still holding on to some cloud coverage, but temperatures have been warming. We've seen our warmest stretch of weather over the past about 48 hours for a good portion of the state. We are drying out for many areas of South Central, but we still got some light rain showers out towards coastal areas of Prince William Sound, and we've also got some light activity pushing through parts of the valley out towards Hatcher Pass, and then as you head through northern parts of the Susitna Valley. We'll largely stay dry today across South Central, but we can't rule out some of that coastal activity that will stick around. This is our next storm system we're watching that does arrive into the weekend across South Central. Of course, for today, the impacts will be out towards the Aleutians in the form of some gusty winds as well as some heavy rainfall. As that steadily builds east, we will see the return to some widespread rainfall to coastal South Central Saturday night into Sunday, and then by Sunday, you'll see that widespread rain return to southeast. So this is that area of low pressure and its movement here over the next couple of days. But today will provide very quiet and dry conditions for a good portion of South Central. We'll see those temperatures warming back into the 50s. Again, starting off with some cloud coverage, and you can see throughout the day, we'll see a gradual progression towards some sunnier conditions. Those temperatures across the state today, still warm. 60 in Fairbanks, 61 degrees in McGrath. That's what we can expect to see for our highs. Along the slope, we'll break into the 20s and the 30s. So still holding on to some chilly conditions across the state, but many locations have been holding on to some of the warmest conditions we've seen so far this season. Coming up in my full forecast, dynamic breakup still in play. We'll have the latest on those breakup conditions across the state, as well as the return to that rain building back in across coastal areas. I'll have that in that 7-day forecast coming up.
A Palmer man is charged with terroristic threatening and assault after officers say he rammed his car into the front entrance of the Wasilla Police Department. It's a story we first told you about on Wednesday on our live streaming app. Now Lauren Maxwell walks us through the dramatic security video with this update.
Right before 5 p.m. Wednesday, police security cameras captured the vehicle entering the parking lot of the Wasilla Police Department. The driver crosses to the south side of the building, where police say he drove around several concrete barriers before popping up on the lawn and heading straight for the lobby, becoming wedged inside the building's Arctic entry. Police say the driver, now identified as Thomas DeSalvo II of Palmer, was wearing a mask when he produced a can of bear spray from inside the car and tried to spray an officer in the lobby. It had no effect. DeSalvo was taken into custody, but not before police say he made threatening statements and assaulted another officer who was attempting to assist him. During the arrest, officers noticed what they called unusual wires inside the car, leading to a switch on the dashboard. That prompted a large multi-agency response that included the Anchorage bomb squad. No explosives were found, and eventually the vehicle was cleared and towed away. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
Police say there were 2 people in the lobby when this happened. Neither were seriously injured. DeSalvo was arraigned in the Palmer courthouse Thursday on a number of charges, including terroristic threatening in the first degree. And a guilty verdict was returned Thursday in the murders of Sheila Agarchuk and Bobby Deloach. Mario Jackson. was convicted on all six counts after prosecutors said surveillance video showed the shooter near the Red Cross building in downtown Anchorage. Investigators also pointed to travel in video and an electric scooter, ammunition, and phone evidence. Jackson took the stand and denied killing either victim. Jurors rejected that defense. His sentencing is scheduled for October 2nd. A California man identified as the leader of an Alaska drug trafficking organization has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. Court documents say Tyrone Hampton moved to Alaska from Southern California in 2022. Investigators say Hampton and others began selling drugs like heroin and fentanyl. One of the locations they committed the crimes was in a Wasilla apartment. After a lengthy investigation, Hampton was linked to the crimes and he pleaded guilty to drug trafficking and money laundering. 5 co-defendants also pleaded guilty. They received varying sentences up to 15 years. The Alaska Dive Search, Rescue, and Recovery Team is looking for a missing man in Juneau. Juneau police identified him as Benjamin Stepton. He was reported missing back on June 26th of last year. The case is being handled as a criminal investigation. Investigators think he may have gone in the water near downtown the night he went missing. If you know anything, call Juneau police. Police say they arrested the man who was wanted for crashing a truck in downtown Anchorage's Pelmeni restaurant last year, hurting an employee. Danny Tompkins tells us why he was a no-show in court Thursday and what's next as he faces multiple charges for the high-speed crash.
That was April 20th, 2025, a little after 3 in the morning, according to Anchorage police. A blue Dodge Ram, APD says, was going upwards of 80 miles an hour, slamming straight into Pelmeni restaurant.
I was actually surprised how many people stopped by and told us that they miss us and would help if we needed help.
That was employee Lester Hayes in July of 2025. At the time, restaurant staff told Alaska's news source one employee inside lost partial vision in one eye. On video, we see the driver that morning was able to run away, leaving behind a mess. It's been more than a year. The restaurant rebuilt and reopened. Robert Miller was accused of crashing the truck, and a warrant was put out in June of 2025. Now, since then, Miller has avoided being taken into custody. Until now, when Miller was scheduled to face a judge on Thursday in this very room, but he refused to show. We are told it's been rescheduled for Friday. APD says Miller did not own the truck driven in the crash. Inside the vehicle, investigators say they found cocaine, fentanyl, and blood that matched Miller's DNA. But it was not this crash that led to Miller's arrest. On Tuesday, APD responded to a shoplifting call on the Old Seward Highway, where they say they found the 43-year-old. He's now facing several charges, including assault, reckless driving, drug misconduct, and leaving the scene of a crash police say caused more than $100,000 in damage. Pelmeni owners declined to comment, but last year, Hayes said he felt the community's support.
I'm just happy to be back in here serving. Feels like I'm back at home now. There's a few things that need to change going, and then it'll feel a little bit more like home.
Danny Tompkins, Alaska's news source.
At the Capitol, state lawmakers rejected Stephen Cox as Alaska's Attorney General, but he won't be leaving the Dunleavy administration. Moments after lawmakers voted against Cox's confirmation, Governor Mike Dunleavy has now appointed him as a counsel to the governor. Dunleavy said Cox's legal and policy experience will help advise him on key issues facing the state. And that same experience was criticized by lawmakers who voted against his appointment. Cox's first day on the job was Thursday, according to the governor. With Cox out as AG, Governor Dunleavy tapped 14-year Department of Law employee Corey Mills, who was most recently a deputy AG, to serve as acting attorney general. The Tanana Chiefs Conference is raising new concerns about flooding in interior communities after disaster declarations for Hughes and Chalkitsik earlier this week. Both communities have seen homes and local infrastructure damaged by ice jams and river flooding. As TCC helps coordinate recovery, they warn other villages are also at risk. This includes a flood advisory for Ruby, flood watches for Galena and Fort Yukon, and flooding concerns for Stevens Village. A gaming hall on the outer edges of Anchorage is expanding by nearly 5,000 square feet while still facing legal battles. Shanann Gaming Hall just added 89 new gaming machines, a bar, and space for a food truck. And staff say the expansion creates 38 new jobs. The hall holds a Class 2 gaming license, meaning they can't have table games or sports betting, only machines. The native village of Eklutna owns the land the hall is on. In the past, neighbors had voiced opposition, and the hall has been the subject of 2 lawsuits. We'll have more coverage on the new expansion at a later date. Don't forget, today Anchorage commuters can trade 4 wheels for 2 and avoid those higher gas prices, as it is Bike to Work Day with more than 80 groups set up around town this morning to cheer on cyclists and hand out treats. Anchorage Mayor Suzanne LaFrance says she plans to pedal to work. Then for your ride home from 4 to 6 p.m., more than 40 after-work stations will keep the ride home rolling and treats and plenty of applause. So if you're not participating, just be aware of bicyclists on the road and be safe. Still ahead on the morning edition as the temperatures slowly continue to rise and we get closer to summer, even if it doesn't look like it yet outside. More Alaskans are pushing their way outdoors, and that means it's time to brush up on some safety courses for some recreational activities. We'll remind you of some valuable firearm safety tips next.
Still holding on to fairly dry conditions across South Central as we continue to hold on to the warmest stretch of weather all season. I'll have more on that as well as the breakup conditions. But first at sunrise, 5:11 in Anchorage, 4:30 in Juneau. The full forecast.
Welcome back in on this Friday morning with a look over Midtown Anchorage. You can still see that cloud cover, Aaron, but we've stayed pretty dry.
Yeah, and that is some good news considering how wet we have been. And just give it some time. We will see that sunshine making a return. Giving you a look at some of these rivers across the state as a breakup continues. This is an update from the Buckland River. You can see bank-to-bank ice still with us. Of course, western Alaska, you are continuing to be up next when it comes to those ice jam concerns as areas of the interior, south central, and southwest has seen most of those rivers beginning to largely open up. But you can see out towards Buckland where the river ice is beginning to break away. Now, latest breakup conditions again showing a good chunk of the state seeing some mostly open to open waterways from the interior, south central, as well as through southwest Alaska. Latest observations, though, showing that we still have numerous flood watches and warnings from the Yukon Flat to the middle Yukon Valley, as well as the interior Kuskokwim Delta. We've got that ice jam that's still in place at out towards Toluksak, where we've seen the water remaining high. Out towards the Yukon at Tanana, that river levels are up significantly with bank-to-bank ice. And of course, as you head out towards Galena, that continues to be on watch for ice jam downstream near Bishop Rock. So that's as a result of that, we've got numerous locations that remain up under a flood warning. This is out towards Bethel. You can see just kind of an eerie look with some of those water levels rising. We've got a little bit in the way of some fog cover. Thanks to Dean Swope for sending in that photo. And when it comes to the interior Kuskokwim Delta, the flood warning remains in effect through 9 p.m. this evening. We're seeing that ice jam located on the Kuskokwim River. More flooding is to be expected. And of course, we are seeing already numerous issues through parts of southwest Alaska over the last several days when it comes to those ice jam concerns. If you remember earlier in the week, ENIAC was dealing with some of that flooding potential. So this is what we're dealing with across the state when it comes to those flood watches and flood warnings. You can see that flood watch as you head through western parts of the interior out towards Galena, the Yuki River, seeing the potential for leading to some rising waters out towards Galena, and of course the Yukon River out towards Stevens Village continues to watch for some impacts from that ice jam. Temperatures across the state this morning, 30s and 40s for many locations along the slope, still fairly chilly. This is our next storm system we're going to be watching. That's going to lead to gusty winds as well as rain building in through the Aleutians today. And then as it continues to build off towards the east, northeast, it will bring the return to some rain through Kodiak Island through the overnight hours on into your Saturday. You can see widespread rain returning to south central or at least coastal areas as we head into your Sunday and also as you head out towards southeast. So thankfully, we are catching a break from this rainfall, particularly for the coast, which has been on the wet side. And we can't rule out some isolated activity between today and into the first part of your Saturday. The second half of Saturday on into Sunday, you can see that widespread rain building back in across coastal areas, easily picking up anywhere from 1 to 3+ inches of rain accumulation. So wet weather still expected for coastal areas. Some sun expected for some, not all. As we head throughout the day, of course, the Kenai will see that better potential, at least interior parts of the Kenai. We'll hold into the 50s, and we can't rule out some showers for inland locations Sunday and Monday, but most of the activity will be near the coast.
Rabbit Creek Shooting Park is back in its busy season as more Alaskans head out to brush up on their shooting skills. Georgina Fernandez takes us to the range where hunter educators say no matter how experienced you are, practice is key.
Out on the range. It's that time of year again.
I think it's a lot of people just getting back outside and knocking the rust off.
People hone in, sharpening their marksmanship after a long winter.
We all want to use firearms, go out, enjoy the outdoors, and come back safe, right?
And the way to do that
Then right here, you just have to push it back and then push this down. There you go.
is by practicing and taking hunter education courses.
It's great to come in because we don't want to carry a firearm out there if we're not proficient with it, right? So it takes training, it takes practice, it takes repetitiveness, and that's why I think the range is so busy in the spring months.
And before you touch a real gun, educators recommend you start off by using a dummy firearm like this. Now, this allows folks to gain muscle memory and learn how to safely operate a gun before transitioning to the real thing.
Right now, educators say is the time to brush up on those skills and review the big 4 safety rules, like keeping your firearm unloaded until you're ready to use it.
One of the biggest causes for firearm incidents is guns going off in vehicles, whether that's a truck, car, a boat, an ATV.
And taking the time to practice hitting your target.
Because if you shoot one here, one here, one here, you don't really have an idea where your point of aim versus your point of impact is.
And why is that so important?
Because when you're out in the field, you want to make clean, ethical shots on game. That's why it's very important to come practice.
Practice makes perfect, and now here, perfect means coming home. Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting. Available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.